Aggies, the Jazz, the high schools. If it's the sport you care about, we're talking about it. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome back to Hour 2 of the Full Court Press, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan, and 106.9thefan.com. Eric Frandsen and Ajay Salvesen here on the Full Court Press. Thanks for joining us, however, wherever you're doing so. For those just hopping into their car and getting back from work, hope your work day was great. Enjoy the long weekend that is ahead of you, in which we will as well. We will not have a show on Monday to celebrate. Is it to celebrate Labor Day or honor? I mean, what's the correct phrase? To celebrate Labor Day?
Let's celebrate labor.
Yeah, right? Okay, so that doesn't make sense. What is it? To honor laborers?
To honor laborers. Yes.
But we have the day off.
Yeah, right. It's a day off for all those hardworking folks.
Like you and I, who just talk smack on the radio and get yelled at by everybody for it.
Hey, just quickly, it looks like the situation in Sardine Canyon, or Wellsville Canyon for those who really
Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy.
Southbound traffic is still problematic. So if you need to go south out of Cache Valley through that canyon on the south side, it's funny how many times would we, in our news stories, if we call it one thing, there's this host of people who say, no, technically you need to call it the other.
So call it Sardine Wellsville Canyon. There, solves it all.
If you're going down Highway 8991, you might want to take a different route or just wait.
If you wait, you'll be back by midnight, we think. Can't guarantee you that. Hey, Eric, we had some great conversations in the first hour. As you heard, John Morant is Rookie of the Year. It was
near unanimous.
Yep, one short vote. How do you say it?
One vote shy.
Damn it. Yeah. One vote shy of being unanimous. We also have found out, and the Brooklyn Nets have announced that Steve Nash would be the new head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. We talked about how some coaches haven't worked out. Steve, did you say that Steve Kerr worked out?
Yes.
He hasn't.
Why?
5-3-3-8 and I. This is
championships.
NBA
Finals appearances.
This is a very monumental moment. Don't screw it up. Because 5-3-3-8, if you want to text into our show, by the way, you can text in at 435-339-0321 or call in at 435-752-1069. 5-3-3-8 and I have been butting heads since the birth of this show, since the birth of the station, since the birth that we had the text line open. But he actually agrees with me, and I actually agree with him. Eric, Steve Kerr has not worked out. No Splash Brothers, he says. No KD equals no wins. He has been exposed as a poor coach. Yes, absolutely, 120% agree. Steve Kerr is an overrated basketball coach, Eric.
You know who else is a bad coach?
Who?
Who's a terrible coach, never worked out?
Who?
This guy named Greg Popovich. I mean, total washout.
That's different. Don't compare.
Why?
Because.
Why? Why is that any different?
Dude, Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, and Klay Thompson on the same team, Eric. Think about it.
Yeah, it was crazy good.
No, Kerr didn't coach. Steve Kerr didn't coach. And by the way, when Thompson and Kevin Durant went out versus Toronto and they lost. Wait, they lost to Toronto? How? Nick Nurse is a better coach than Steve Kerr?
What was that team? What was the Golden State team under Mark Jackson?
Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson.
Where did they go?
They went to the playoffs.
And what happened after Kerr took over? They went to the NBA Finals and they won. So my point with Greg Popovich,
Draymond Green, Anderson Varejao, like the list goes on of players that they got. Sean Livingston, who was coming from Brooklyn, had a resurrection in Golden State. That's not because of Steve Kerr.
Let me finish my point with Greg Popovich.
Okay.
David Robinson was a good player. That was a playoff team. He got hurt. He didn't play a season. They looked terrible. They didn't win very many games. Did people say, oh, yeah, that Greg Popovich guy, he's washed up. He's not good.
There were some people who probably weren't happy.
He doesn't have his star player. He can't do it without David Robinson. Look what he has done since then with multiple different types of lineups. Steve Kerr's a great coach.
No. Greg Popovich is a great coach. Don't
Steve Kerr
you're
knows he's
comparing
not,
Greg Popovich to Steve Kerr? How? Why?
Yeah. Steve
Why?
Kerr knows he doesn't have Steph Curry. He knows he doesn't have Klay Thompson this last year.
Okay.
So he's running.
And he doesn't have Kevin Durant, but keep going.
Right. Kevin Durant left. We knew that before the injuries occurred to the other guys.
Okay.
Well, I mean, not Klay Thompson, but so he knew he didn't have his stars, and he knew he didn't have much of a lot of other players in place to have a lot of depth. So look, he's going to run a lot of different things. He's going to develop young talent.
Okay.
And he's playing the race to the draft game.
He's playing the race to the draft?
Yeah.
He had some young talent on that team. You know that, right?
Not a heck of a lot.
The Cock Kid, they have some talent on that squad. And look,
okay, who was the star player?
Ja Morant
who was the star player for Golden State this year?
Draymond Green.
He was injured half the season.
He still played. Remember when Draymond Green was...
besides Draymond Green, who else?
Patrick McCaw.
Now, they traded away D'Angelo Russell.
Because he didn't fit.
And that was another part of, hey, we're going to try to position ourselves for next year.
So you're telling me...
This season,
okay, so wait, you're telling me that Steve Kerr tanked?
Steve Kerr and saying he's a terrible coach.
You're telling me that Steve Kerr tanked to get to the lottery?
You're totally missing the point.
No, I'm not. Because,
you do not understand how the NBA works.
I'm still trying to figure out what you're talking about of adding in Greg Popovich into the conversation. Greg Popovich is a great basketball coach.
So Steve Kerr.
No, Steve Kerr was just given a lot of great talent, and then he looked good with it.
Is it easy to win with great talent? Sure.
Absolutely.
Does everybody win championships with good talent? No. You still have to beat the other team.
It's pretty easy when you have 3 future Hall of Famers on your team.
LeBron James hasn't won every NBA championship he's been to.
LeBron, oh my gosh. Okay, sure, fine. If you want to go this route, let's do it.
Look, if it's all about the players,
LeBron James is playing 4 future Hall of Famers in Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker, and then had to turn around and play Dirk Nowitzki and a pretty good veteran Dallas Mavericks guard in 2011. Turned around, then played the Spurs team again. Beat them, Eric. He played Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Kevin Durant all on one team and beat them. He then played Kawhi Leonard, added on with that great Spurs team, and lost in, 5 games? But he then beat a 73... Oh, by the way, hey, Steve Kerr's a great coach, but a 73-9 Warriors basketball team can't beat LeBron James when they're up 3-1 in a series. That's a heck of a ball coach to me.
So you think Steve Kerr is a terrible coach?
I think he's an overrated coach. I didn't say he was terrible, but he's not as good as what you guys think he is. He's overrated.
He is a Hall of Fame coach.
Well, he's going to be because his team won him 4 titles.
Where was that team before he showed up? Barely making the playoffs and vastly underperforming in the playoffs.
Again, you got to give credit to the GM and the management.
And bam, they're in the championship.
Give credit to the team, and by the way, adding Kevin Durant didn't hurt, by the way.
Well, they were doing it before Kevin Durant showed up on the scene.
They were playing LeBron James in the finals. LeBron James in the finals. And by the way, LeBron James is that same guy who is playing with the likes of Matthew Dellavedova, Mo Williams,
Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving was out the first year, and so was Kevin Love. When they came back, they ended up turning around and winning a championship. Down 3-1, 2-7-7-6. Is that Warrior squad the only time a team has blown a 3-1 series lead? They're the best team to blow a 3-1 series lead in NBA history. They're the best team to do that.
The timing of that text hurts.
That's a good point, too. Come on, 277. Have some sympathy, empathy. Have some, be sensitive to us, Jazz fans, right now. We're hurt. That's a great point. He then laughs at us. Big thanks to everybody participating in our text. And again, 5338. I can't believe we actually agreed on something. Kerr's an overrated coach. Absolutely. And he's going to go into the Hall of Fame because his team got him there. There's a lot of players who are going to be gifted the Hall of... I think, you know what?
Where would the Jazz be if Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert and Bojan Bogdanovic were out for the year? What would they look like this next year? And then everybody would say, Quinn Snyder's a garbage coach.
What are you trying to point out? I'm lost here. Sorry.
It's incredible to me that a team loses 3 mega stars and they struggle and they know they're going to struggle, so they're going to play younger guys a lot more.
You're talking about
and
the best.
like, oh, he's a garbage
You're
coach.
talking about the two best shooters in NBA history in Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, and you're talking about Kevin Durant.
Yeah. You don't have those guys on your team all of a sudden when you think you're going to have at least two of those three. And then another third option, Draymond Green's out for half the year. And everyone's like, well, he's a crappy coach. He can't win.
It exposes Kerr for what he is, a mediocre coach.
Who else? Who does he have to coach? He doesn't have anybody to play.
That's what developing players does. Like, if you're a coach,
Ajay,
you can still
that's
coach.
Not allowed. No. It is not allowed to develop players. You made that clear the other day when we debated about the Utah Jazz.
Okay, no,
developing players is not allowed.
No, this is a different conversation. No, this points out to Kerr not being able to. If Kerr needs guys like Kevin Durant and Steph Curry on his team to win games, like Quinn Snyder without Rudy Gobert would still be in the playoffs.
Really?
With Quinn Snyder, with Rudy Gobert, and without Donovan Mitchell, would still be in the playoffs.
First of all,
be in the playoffs.
We're trying to compare Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert to Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, which isn't fair. At least not right now in their stages of their careers.
I'd take Donovan Mitchell or Steph Curry, yes. You wouldn't?
Right now?
Yeah.
I'd be happy to have Steph Curry on my team right now. I think Donovan Mitchell has
but
a future.
Wait. You ship out Donovan Mitchell and keep Steph Curry?
Yeah.
Oh, this could get fun.
One guy has taken his team to NBA championships.
No, one guy with the help
has multiple rings on his finger.
One guy with the help.
One guy might get there.
And by the way, Matt Adams texted in, how did Luke Walton do while coaching the Warriors? Again, Luke Walton sat on the bench, had a cup of Gatorade, and watched Kevin Durant not Kevin Durant, watch that team go to work. Again, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and that's when Steve Kerr was out. Do you remember Steve Kerr being out with an injury? With a back issue?
Yeah, he had his back problem. Yeah.
And so Luke Walton jumped in, and they still won 24 straight games?
He walked into a machine that was well-oiled and already moving.
Because of Mark Jackson.
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely not because of Mark Jackson. Had nothing to do with Mark Jackson. It had
everything. Okay, so what do you give credit to then? So then Luke Walton's a better coach than Steve Kerr?
No, that's been proven that's definitely not the case.
Wait. How come though?
What did Luke Walton do in Los Angeles?
What did Luke Walton do when he was coaching the head? I love what Matt Adams said. What did Luke Walton do when he was the head coach of the Warriors?
He followed the system that Steve Kerr put in place.
So he just did exactly what Steve Kerr does and sit on the bench, and they watch Steph Curry call play, run it, execute it, and hit a three, and then win a ball game. I mean, that's what Steve Kerr was doing. Like, nothing changed, and Steve Kerr admitted that. When Luke Walton went, 24-0? Or whatever it was, how many straight wins they had? And then Steve Kerr came out and said, well, I mean, he's not doing anything different than I did. And then going back to the whole, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert conversation, miss one of those players, he still goes to the playoffs. Miss both of those players, and by the way, they had Bojan out this year, and they still went to the playoffs, took the Nuggets to 7 games. But, again, with one of those out, they still go to the playoffs. With both of those out and Bojan in, gets a little dicey. You good now? Are you dismissed from class?
We're clearly not going to meet each other.
That is mind-boggling that you would put Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr in the same conversation.
Absolutely. When you look at the situation.
What do you mean when I look at the situation?
Here's a good coach. He had a great player. When that great player went out and was hurt and was the foundation of the team,
hold on. Time out, though.
That team purposely did not do great for the whole year. They purposely did not really strive to achieve and to win a lot of games.
Yes, he did. Steve Kerr didn't go purposely lose games.
He went to the idea look, we know we're not going to win games. We're not going to make the playoffs. So we're going to develop a lot of our younger talent.
He still went out there and competed to win.
Right, with younger talent.
Draymond Green was still playing when he was not out.
Who, again, only played half of the year.
Okay, so here's the thing. Greg Popovich, you know how he is with resting guys.
And then the following year,
hold on. Greg Popovich
when he had great players,
Tim Duncan,
did great
Tony
things.
Parker, Manu Ginobili. He would rest those guys consistently. I mean, consistently, he would sit them out. Or if they were playing, they played maybe 28 minutes, if that, of a ball game.
Ajay, we're speaking in circles. We keep making the same arguments.
No. Hold on. He would play them barely half the games, and they'd still win. That was because Greg Popovich is a good coach, and they would still find ways to win. With bench guys, with younger guys, with quote-unquote undeveloped guys. Steven Jackson was extremely young, and he would continue to find ways to win with these guys while playing Manu, Tony, Tim Duncan, very limited minutes in a lot of games. Or he would just flat out sit them for the whole entire game. And he still won a lot of games doing that. If Steve Kerr's a great coach, he should be able to win a lot of games without the help of his 2 All-Stars.
And what did Popovich do in the 1 year that he had his stars hurt? That's all I'm trying to point out here. The only point I'm trying to make.
Hold on, that was in what, 1990?
He had a great coach.
What year was that?
A great track record.
What was that?
Who had 1 year with his star talent that was out.
Tell me what year that was, though, please.
That was, what was it, mid-90s?
Mid-90s? So not even
Late
Sean
90s.
Elliott's. Okay, so wait, hold on. Sean Elliott's not on this basketball team then. Avery Johnson wasn't on this basketball team yet. Who was an incredible...
Can you just concede the fact that when Greg Popovich had a year when his star talent was hurt and not available, they were a crappy team?
No.
They did not come close to sniffing the playoffs. Yet, he still had tremendous success. Steve Kerr had tremendous success. When his top players were hurt and out for a season, he didn't come close to sniffing the playoffs.
Yeah, okay. But here's the thing. Greg Popovich... No, actually, sorry. That team, I don't think Greg Popovich was coaching that year. Wasn't he in the office? Because that's the year they fired that coach, and Greg Popovich came in the following year and was the head coach, and he got Tim Duncan. I don't think Greg Popovich was coaching that season.
Now I need to look that up. It's a good question.
I don't.
Needs verified.
If that's the case, you just lost that whole entire argument there, good sir.
I might have. We'll find out.
Because I'm pretty sure Greg Popovich then fired the head coach.
1994.
Yep. Also, he was head coach in 1994.
Yes.
Holy crap. There's a video then of him that I think I saw like 3 weeks ago, and he has really dark hair. Oh, man, I got to go back and look at that video now. If that's actually him, that's scary. All right. We're in circles. Sorry. Because he was in the office, wasn't he?
Well, his coaching, he's been with the San Antonio Spurs since 1994.
But he
started being the head coach in the 96-97 season.
So that was 1 year before they got Tim Duncan, because I think they got Duncan in 97, 98 or 98? Might have been 98. I know I'm asking you to do some on-the-fly research here. Because, yeah, they got him in 98, and that's when the 98-99 season was a strike-shortened season. That's when San Antonio won the NBA championship.
He was in the 97 draft. Spurs had a lot of injuries in the 96-97 season. So I guess that would have been the first year of Greg Popovich. His first season, they were crappy. After that, a lot of success.
A ton of success. All right. Welcome back to the Full Court Press, everybody. Eric Frandsen, Ajay Salvesen. We had to get that conversation out of our system. Thank you to 5338 for helping me confirm what I already knew. I appreciate you, 5338. Hey, if you want to text in to be a part of our show, you know the drill. 435-339-0321. Calling is 435-752-1069. Hope your Thursday is as good as ours, and as you get ready for the nice long weekend to celebrate, or I guess honor Labor Day, officially phrased. Some news and notes we want to get to again. Steve Nash is going to be named the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. Ja Morant has been named Rookie of the Year in the NBA, near unanimous to do so. Dan Wilson came in third.
Hey, just since we're talking about coaches,
yeah,
and this Steve Nash thing, just a few things here. The high IQ guy, great performer on the court,
awesome,
very intelligent, great teammate for all accounts and for all intents and purposes. From all the accounts that I've ever read about the guy, has been involved with the Canadian national team, was involved with player development with the Golden State Warriors. He's been a part of some great programs. I think it'll be interesting to see how he is as a head coach of an NBA team. It's too early to say he'll be a good coach because I don't know. Should other coaches have gotten some chances to get that job? Perhaps. Should guys that are currently assistant coaches at other places had an opportunity to be a head coach? Perhaps. That's not for me to decide. I'm not the one pulling the strings for the Brooklyn Nets. I don't like the idea that we see throughout professional sports where they go and find somebody who got fired somewhere else and give them another shot and keep giving them new jobs. It's so common throughout professional sports. Rather than take a risk on somebody new, they'll go find somebody who's already been fired and let go from somewhere else because it didn't work out and say, maybe this time it'll be different. I get that there's a learning curve. I get that there are some real challenges in understanding the nuance of being a head football or a head coach, head basketball coach, or even in the NFL, a head football coach. It takes time to figure it out. Sometimes your first time isn't going to work. Look at Bill Belichick. Didn't work out so great in Cleveland, but it worked out tremendously in New England. So sometimes your first time, it doesn't really work out, and the second time you come into it a little bit more ready for the situation.
Bill Belichick took the Browns to the playoffs. They just lost in some heartbreaking games.
So, but the idea of all these other coaches that are out there with head coaching experience, I like to see other guys get opportunities. There's enough positions for that to happen. Now, there's a very small number of black head coaches. I would love to see that change. But I also think that when it comes to getting a head coach, you go with the guy you think is going to give you the best chance to win. And that should be the only requirement.
Yeah, and you got to remember is that the GM's butt's on the line here. If he hires the wrong guy, he's gone. He doesn't have a job anymore. So he's got to look out for himself.
You got to read the room. You got to read your locker room. You got to know who's going to be able to connect with those guys, who's going to have the ability and the credentials to get you where you need to go. So can we just focus on, is he going to be the guy to win games for them?
Stats and numbers instead of race. I'm with you on that. I'm 100% with you on this one.
I want to say that, but I also think we should be giving more opportunities to other people.
Sure, yeah, and I think we will. And there will continue to be.
But I think we have to be careful. Just because the current social tone is suggesting one thing, that we have to make decisions based on the social tone alone. I think you may miss out on an opportunity to get somebody who's going to help your team the most. Again, I don't know about the qualifications of those other candidates, if they would have been better, but a lot of eyes will be on Nash to see how he does and if the Brooklyn Nets made the right choice.
I think he's a good players coach too, right? I mean, because Kyrie's a different cat mentally and with his personality, a completely different guy. And we got him and KD in the locker room, and you got a talented young Brooklyn squad. I think you can make a push with the right talent around KD and Kyrie. Could be good. I think Steve Nash could be that fit. The crazy thing is, and maybe it was just based on the situation or how intense it was, or just being in the city, but man, that Lakers year or his Laker era really didn't turn out so good for him.
No.
And I don't know if it was because Dwight Howard was there, Kobe Bryant was, Kobe Bryant at the time, coaching or what it was. But Steve Nash did not look or seem like Steve Nash.
Yeah, it just seemed like they're trying to force a square peg into a round hole with the way they put that team together.
Yeah. So, and Brooklyn is just as fierce as LA when it comes to the critique, right, as you as a head coach. Because it's really New York. And if you're not winning, you're going to get blasted every single time you lose. Every single bad possession you have, it's just going to be critiqued 100-fold than it would be in Phoenix or in Dallas, for that matter. 6789 says, Ajay, that curve take was a stinker. Well, thank you for editing your language. I applaud you for that. 5338, would you like to reply to him? I'll take care of Eric if you take care of the rest of these cats. No, thanks for texting or joining our show. We're so grateful to have you guys doing so, however and wherever you're doing so. Again, on Twitter, it's @Frandsen. Yep. I'm at Ajay.
I love it when people disagree with us.
Yes, it's great. It makes our show better.
Cause us to, take a stand or do some research and change my mind. I'm not one to say that I have an opinion and it's the only opinion and it's forever going to be that opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. If you want to text in 435-339-0321. If you want to call in 435-752-1069. As we were coming out of the first hour, there was some Big Ten news that came out. Not good. You want to talk about flipping the shoe, Eric, or changing your mind? What forced the Big Ten to make one opinion, but then come out and completely go contrary to that opinion, and now look like an absolute monstrous mistake? And what effect will it have on the Big 12 and the Pac-12, who want to have a football season that could start by maybe Thanksgiving weekend? Again, and then we'll go through our RPI girls soccer rankings. What great news for Region 11, Eric. They turn out to be a gem. And then don't forget, high school football tomorrow. Preps Pick'em contest is coming up. Join in and be part of it.
Huge matchup tomorrow. The 100th anniversary or 100th time this game has been played.
Golden Spike, is that what it's called?
Box Elder versus Bear River. Big matchup between those two schools. So anyways, we'll give some predictions and maybe a little bit more of a breakdown tomorrow. But yeah, I'm excited for this the matchups this weekend. And you're right. Go to cvpick'em.com and fill out your bracket, fill out your picks for this week. You have until 6 o'clock tomorrow. If you get the most picks correct, if you get the highest score, you will win $100 to the Cater Shop. New shirts, new ties, socks, even have dress shoes, a lot of different options there. Maybe even tuxedo if you want to rent for that special occasion. They can help you out with that as well.
Come to your house.
Dressed up as a tux. All right, I like it. So it's the Preps Pick'em contest presented by the Logo Shop, your booster club headquarters for high school, competitive, and club teams. They've been a great sponsor to make this all happen. And if you get the most points correct, most picks correct for this Friday, you could win $100 to the Cater Shop.
106.9 The Fan.
Interviews, analysis, and a little bit of fun mixed in. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
The Full Court Press, Eric Frandsen, Ajay, Salvesen, 106.9 The Fan. If you want to text in 435-339-0321. Or call in at 435-752-1069. Eric, concluding hour one, we were talking about some Big Ten news. For Penn State, will you kind of explain to our listeners exactly what was going on? That Penn State, Dr. Sebastianelli had made a point of view, or at least a thought, on the health of COVID-19.
Well, a report had come out saying that there had been a study in Penn State student athletes who had contracted coronavirus. 30 to 35% of them had this heart condition, which is linked to COVID-19, this myocarditis. And that was getting a lot of attention earlier today. Like, oh my gosh, this is really going to put cold water on this idea of the Big Ten maybe able to resume football activities and sports activities for this fall. This is going to kill it. Well, now, this afternoon, this Dr. Sebastianelli says, it clarifies his statement and says the research was not conducted by him or Penn State. And says some have inferred his comments may have related directly to Penn State student athletes. At this time, there have been no cases of myocarditis in COVID-19 positive student athletes at Penn State. How does this happen?
Because, and I'll say it again,
somebody gets a report, a study about myocarditis and its connection to COVID-19, and someone with an agenda attaches it to Penn State and puts this guy's name to it. Then he says, actually, no, it's not the case.
How much money you want to put on the fact that we think that, and gambling is definitely not done on our end, but how much you want to put on the fact that he probably was told from someone of the upper board, hey, look, President Trump's trying to get us to have a football season, and you're trying to shoot it down. Stop. Retrace your steps and correct them. I mean, that's the only way I can explain such a bizarre situation, man.
How earlier in the day, it's like, here's this study. It's not safe. You know, look at all these the potential problems, the long-term effects for athletes. And then later it's like, actually, no, it's I want to clarify that it's no Penn State players actually have that condition. I'm baffled.
That is horrible. In so many ways, that is bad.
So you couple that news with what the Pac-12 announced today, that there's a new partnership with a company that can do rapid testing, results within 15 minutes, and which could make it available for daily testing of these athletes. Now, the Pac-12, it appears, according to some comments made by Larry Scott, they're still looking at nothing happening until January 1. But they are trying to lobby NCAA to postpone the basketball season to match up with what they're trying to do, which seems a little bit backwards, to be honest. You've got some stuff that would allow you to do rapid testing, regular testing, which to some degree would make me think the pathway is open now to start doing something in the fall, but yet you're doubling down on still wanting to wait until January.
Okay, so let's play the crystal ball game with you really quickly. What happens first? Big Ten announcing they're going to have a football season, or the Pac-12, because of this rapid testing partnership that they now have, moving their season from January of 2021 to, say, November or December of this year? Because on September 16th or around there, we should kind of start to hear when and if basketball season will start.
Right. We should be hearing about the basketball season within the next few weeks.
Yeah.
They have to. They have to make a decision.
Yep.
I think that the Pac-12 and the Big Ten are pretty good lockstep with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Scott made that clear today in his press conference. I think with this news, perhaps they're going to get on the phone with their Big Ten counterparts and say, "Hey, is there a way we can still work something out so that our seasons coincide with each other, so we can have bowl games that coincide with each other
and have the Rose Bowl?"
I think that it's maybe likely that a season starts January 1 or January 2 for the Big Ten and Pac-12, but they start practicing in October or late October and through November. Maybe they have their 8 weeks of a ramp up, but it really gets going in November. But officially, games don't begin until the first part of January.
9315 text in the Big Ten and Pac-12 just need to play fall college football, just like everyone else that is already playing. That all goes away and it manages the damage better. That's true. You're right. If you play in the fall at all, it's all taken care of, right? But it's now getting back to playing in the fall. I remember I don't think they're practicing right now, are they? So,
not everyone. I mean, Ohio State practiced in pads yesterday.
It's easier said than done to be able to get back into that.
Yeah.
And then have your schedule. In fact, I know the Big Ten schedule is set, but you got to now reorganize dates because you aren't going to play next week.
Well, and if there's this rapid testing available and if it's not that expensive and you can roll it out to other conferences, to the Mountain West, do they follow? Just like the lower divisions, like the Big Sky, do they follow?
What's today? September 3rd?
Today's September 3rd.
We have college football tonight. Central Arkansas is at UAB. Southern Alabama at Southern Mississippi. Marshall at East Carolina was supposed to be last week. That won't be. Let's see. Rice and Houston, Jacksonville State, and Florida International have all been postponed, of course. Eric, we were supposed to have football today. Was it today for Utah State, September 3rd? Playing Washington State at home.
Here in Logan.
How do you think the game would have gone? Jason Shelley's at quarterback. DHC's at back. Saban Scarver's at receiver, as is Jordan Nathan's in the slot. How do we do? Do we beat Washington State? Nick Rolovich over there on the other side?
I'd love to be an optimist, but I'd probably say no.
Yeah, it would have been tough. I don't know. Dude, Gary Anderson finds a way to get those guys up for big games.
True.
I'm not saying that
it's just so hard to predict because We haven't seen a fall training camp.
Yeah.
We haven't seen what these guys look like. There was controversy in the locker room before all this was going on. So I don't know. Hard to predict.
The other thing to it is that BYU and Utah were supposed to play tonight too. The Holy War.
It's true.
And I just would have loved to see that battle because BYU was loaded this year. They were extremely talented.
Yeah, but their
football
big
team.
tight end is
Matt
out for the year.
Bushman's out for the year, huh?
Yeah.
And I think their safety also is hurt as well, and he's like 4 to 6 weeks. So that would have hurt them. But still, Zach Wilson's a quarterback. It's a good quarterback. I know BYU thinks he's a Heisman Trophy winner. That's not entirely true. But again, I would have loved to see them battle. Those games, you never know how they're going to end up. They're always expect the unexpected, and when those two teams meet. With the announcement of where the Pac-12 and the Big Ten sit. Go ahead.
With that, the biggest thing is the Pac-12 has this new testing capability, which is supposed to be able to be available to local schools at the end of September. The concern isn't so much about the testing as much as it is local health districts and states where a lot of these Pac-12 teams are still do not give them the green light to do practices. So even if you have the testing and you could do regular testing, it could be rapid testing and you would know what they're doing and you're confining your players and you have your own bubble. California, Oregon, and Washington still will not allow those teams to practice.
That's a good point.
So what's the point?
That's a great point.
Until that gets lifted, the Pac-12 can't really consider anything too specific.
What am I missing on this 2 Rose Bowl thing? Like the 2 Rose Bowl games? Have you read on like how they were going to make that happen, or like what would that encounter? What would the first Rose Bowl be? What would the second Rose Bowl be? Is it just the one would be a college football playoff and the next one would be
between the Pac-12 and the Big Ten?
Okay, that makes sense.
As far as I understand.
Do you think with the Pac-12 and Big Ten, with the news coming out the way it is right now, that the Mountain West Conference looks at it and says, hey, I think we have some major hope that we could play at least a spring season? I know there are some coaches who are out there like, hey, no spring ball at all. Like, we can't have 25 games in this short amount of time. But maybe you start on Thanksgiving weekend like some of these other conferences are and give it a shot, or is that too much to ask?
I think if the Mountain West wants to have a football season in the 2020-21 athletic academic year, they would need to start it around the first part of December, late December, early January at the latest. I don't think that too many coaches are going to be on board with playing football starting in late February or even March and extending into May. Because not only does it mess up what's happening this year and who's really going to play and who's going to opt out to just prepare for the draft, but it's really going to severely mess you up for the following calendar year too. So I think if it's not going to happen in that window, like sometime in December or early January as a start, I don't think it's going to happen.
Fair enough. Let's take a break. Coming back, let's get to some NFL news and notes. Leonard Fournette has a new home, and it's a big one with a very healthy offense, loaded offense as well. The Patriots have announced a new quarterback. It's probably obvious who it's going to be. Some other trades and such going on. So we'll get to all the NFL news and notes, and then of course,
our pick six.
Pick six will be concluding here on the Full Court Press. 106.9 The Fan.
It's the Full Court Press, weekday afternoons from 4 to 6 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Eric Frandsen, Ajay, Salvesen, Full Court Press, 106.9 The Fan. Thanks for joining us, however, wherever you've been doing so. And thanks for participating in the show. Always love to hear you guys on. Whether you agree or disagree with their opinions, always love to hear them. Eric, 9315 brought up a great point about the regional part.
Yeah, this is something we've kind of lobbied for before, about abandoning the traditional conference infrastructure and make it more regional, because some regions may have hot spots, some areas may not allow things to happen at the same time as others. And 9315 suggests something similar. Could you make it work hybrid conference for 1 year out of the Mountain West in the Pac-12 to play in the fall. The leftover teams don't have county and state restrictions. Possible. Maybe you have the California schools and the Oregon and Washington schools all play together when they have the availability to play together. So you'd include Fresno State, San Jose, San Diego State into the Pac-12, Arizona State, Utah, Colorado, include them in the Mountain West.
I'd love it. Now, don't rule that out for basketball. If there's a bubble, and looks like there's being bubbles created in different parts of the country, don't rule something like this out of direction for college basketball. The way things are going right now, just hold on to that thought. Just saying. Leave it at that.
But it's a nice thought. The regional thing is a nice thought.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would happen.
Now,
because there's too much politics, too much money.
That's what I was going to ask you about. That makes sense.
I mean, let's not consider logic and reason. Let's just focus on money and all that stuff. Hey, sorry, I keep interrupting you.
You're good.
An update on Sardine Canyon, and I will continue to call it Sardine Canyon.
Don't.
Highway 8991. It's still closed because of that truck fire. It's a big flatbed truck with a bunch of hay on it. That stuff does not get extinguished easily. Traffic is being detoured onto SR23. That's Valley View Highway. Estimated clear time, 8:15 p.m. Now, what I don't know is if that's affecting any teams, any football games. If teams had enough notice to take different routes if they needed to get to their destinations, for those coming here and those heading south.
That's a good point.
I hope AJ's paying attention to that. He's got to go down to Bonneville.
Wait, today?
No, I guess that's right. That's tomorrow. Psh, my bad. I'm off.
Is he calling the JV game today? Why not?
Forget that.
Why not? Eric,
not varsity football. There are soccer games tonight.
Let's quickly get to some news and notes in the NFL just briefly before we take a break and then go to our pick six. Eric, Leonard Fournette is headed to Tampa Bay to stand behind Tom Brady and this loaded Tampa Bay offense. Now, we saw things like LeGarrette Blount, going to, and here's the thing is that Bill Belichick was a guy who would take a sick puppy and rescue him. Okay?
Yes.
Corey Dillon, Randy Moss, Rodney Harrison, so on and so forth. And it worked. It worked tremendously. Leonard Fournette and LeGarrette Blount, by the way, is a part of that crew too. Leonard Fournette, does this work in Tampa Bay? Powerful
probably.
back. He's not
probably,
but he's not going to get the touches that he's used to getting in Jacksonville. Not with Tom Brady quarterback and Mike Evans, O.J. Howard, and Rob Gronkowski all in the receiving corps. You just aren't going to get the touches you saw in Jacksonville. So I hope he's okay with that.
Yeah, but Jacksonville's a mess. More players are leaving that franchise.
Speaking of which, they dealt Harrison to the Browns. Harrison, remember, was like one of those valuable draft picks. Thought it was going to come with something, and then just flamed out immediately. He's had a spat contest with the management, with the coaching staff. So, surprise, surprise. Speaking of no surprises at all, New England Patriots have tabbed Cam Newton as the starting quarterback and also a captain.
I think that's really telling. Not only has he got the starting position, which, probably makes sense, but they're calling him a captain.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
I think it speaks volumes to what he's been doing since he showed up with
and here's the thing, though. He doesn't have a lot of competition. Like, Brian Hoyer has been this backup veteran everywhere he's gone. He has it, and when he was a starter, he wasn't a really good starter. And Jarrett Stidham is coming along nicely. But obviously, when you have a guy who's a former NFL MVP, understands reads, offenses, defenses, routes and everything and such, and who is as mobile as Cam Newton, it's really hard to beat out that guy. That's just an unfair battle. But like you said, the captain part comes out and wow. I mean, there's I mean, now they lost what? Hightower, Patrick Chung's not playing. They have a bunch of guys who are missing from the squad who've opted out due to COVID-19. So, same time, it's you don't have a lot of options, if I may be fair to say. Let's take a break. Coming back, let's get to our Pick 6, the segment you all love to hear. Eric Frandsen, Ajay, Salvesen, the Fan.
It doesn't matter who you root for. The Full Court Press has all the high school sports covered. The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
You did have you had 5 starting Royce O'Neills and 2 bench guys being Royce O'Neil and Royce O'Neil. Just so you know.
That's a team that could have some fun.
Hey, by the way.
Guard multiple positions.
Jeez. John Rothstein tweeted out earlier today, Fresno State's Justin Hudson has promoted assistant Tarvis Felton to associate head coach at Fresno State. As you remember, Tarvis Felton was a part of Tim Duryea's staff. Genuine guy. Really good human being. Just a class act. And I couldn't be happy for Coach Felton to get that promotion. That's really cool to see. So happy for him. I think him and Duryea now both are associate head coaches at the respective universities. Duryea right now at Boise State and Felton here at Fresno State.
Hey, since we're talking about former coaches, did you see the post from Reagan Peebley, former USU women's basketball coach?
I saw your tweet and I read it.
Really, really good. She had a brain tumor.
Yeah, no idea.
Got it removed. She posted a picture of her big scar on her head.
But was it non-cancerous? Is that right?
Yeah, not cancerous, but tumors can grow.
Yeah, they're scary.
You don't mess around with that. But really, really good post. Talks a lot about understanding pain, and because of that, you were able to be more patient with others who may also be going through issues and have more grace, basically calling for more patience and it helps ground her a little bit. So anyway, really, really good post. Very well written. At Reagan Peebley TCU is where you can find her on Twitter.
Love it. Eric, it's that time for our Pick 6. You all know the drill. We each get 3 lines, over-unders, yes or no's, in-betweens, and we each get to pick those lines. After the end on Tuesday, because we have no show Monday because of Labor Day, we will have those results, and whoever wins gets a nice little treat. I got a delicious cookie from you from a good restaurant. That was really good stuff. Eric, I won. I went a perfect 6-0.
You were perfect,
and you under-gifted me majorly, but that's okay.
You've been raving about how good it was.
You'll try harder next time. Oh. That's what I expect from you. So Eric, here we go. Let's dance again. And who is going to be? What is your number 1 Pick 6 line?
Okay, so we're doing Pick 6 now. You want my line first? Okay, I'm going to go with the Golden Spike rivalry. Box Elder, Bear River.
Okay.
I'm going to pick Box Elder by 7.5. You go over or under?
Is Josh Payne back this week?
I don't know.
I know they were hoping he'd be back by this week. I'm going to go over.
You got Box Elder and the over.
Yes, because Easton Lish is a huge loss for them, as we've found out.
I'm going to take... I think I'm also going to go Box Elder with the over.
Okay. Okay, you want me to go now? I need paper. Hold on. Are you doing this or am I doing it?
Before the show, I asked you to take notes.
Okay. Take notes.
I can do another one while you prepare yourself. Time.
Okay, Friday, September 4th. Lakers, Houston, round 2. LeBron James, 26.5 points over under.
I'm going to take I'll take the over. I don't think Houston can slow him down.
I'll take the 26.5 is a lot. I'll take the under. Okay, go ahead.
Jamal Murray in Game 2. Game 1 is tonight. So I'm going to say in Game 2, between the Nuggets and the Clippers, Jamal Murray, 24.5 points. Over or under?
Over.
I'm going to take the under. Jamal Murray, 24.5 points in game 2.
Okay. Let's go to football. BYU Navy on Monday night. Eric, I'm going to say BYU 6.5.
I'm going to take BYU with the over.
Okay, I'm going to take BYU over as well. We got to hustle here.
Last one from me then. I'm going to go back to high school football. There's a really good matchup going on between the Mountain Crest Mustangs and Bonneville. Do the Mustangs have enough momentum from what they did last week? This is a straight pick. Mountain Crest or Bonneville?
Mountain Crest.
I'm going to take Bonneville.
It's a lot of faith. Game 2 tomorrow. So game 3 tomorrow, Milwaukee, Miami. Straight pick. Who do you got?
Milwaukee.
I've got Miami. All right. That's going to do it for our show today. We will talk to you tomorrow, and we'll have a Friday 5 best of. Thanks for all tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your night.